everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of the self-esteem discussion. In part 1, I talked about 6 different factors that influence our self-esteem. But if you haven't watched that yet, be sure to do so first before watching this video if you're interested in learning more about what impacts our self-esteem. Now in this video, I'll be discussing how you can utilize your mindset to improve your self-esteem, regardless of whatever negative experiences you may have gone through. Now first and foremost, your mindset is your inner world. This includes your thoughts, viewpoints, and attitudes. Your inner world ultimately matters more than the external world around you because how you think and feel about a situation is what ends up impacting you in the end. We don't have control over external events, nor can we control how other people are or what they say. But what we can control is how we perceive the things that happen to us and around us, which is why it's so important to adopt a constructive mindset. Now, I want to share with you 4 different mindset shifts that you can implement to increase your self-esteem. Number 1 is to transform self-criticism into self-encouragement. As humans, we're all our own worst critics sometimes, and we ultimately criticize ourselves because we're dissatisfied with how we are and want to do better somehow. But since self-criticism is so destructive, it doesn't really give us the chance to know exactly how it is that we can do better and sustain our self-improvement long-term. And plenty of research indicates that humans don't respond well to negative reinforcement or punishment, but rather they respond well to positive reinforcement. It's no wonder then why self-criticism is an ineffective approach to self-improvement, and why self-encouragement would instead be the way to go. If you have a self-critical mindset, then you're likely not doing your self-esteem any favors. On the other hand, if you engage in self-encouragement just as you would encourage a loved one through their challenges, you would be on your way to improved self-esteem. Remember, how you talk to yourself matters. How you handle yourself through your challenges matters. So don't underestimate the power of self-encouragement. Number 2 is to embrace your imperfections and failures. Those of us who view our imperfections and failures as opposites to competence and success are much more likely to struggle with low self-esteem. On the other hand, those of us who embrace the mindset that failure is part of success and that imperfections are inevitable and normal are likely to thrive and feel better about ourselves. So next time you fail at something and you're inclined to criticize yourself for it, just pause. Notice this automatic tendency of yours, acknowledge it, then challenge yourself with an alternative way of thinking. Give yourself the chance and the space to think about how you can learn from your mistakes and failures. A constructive mindset means that you'll keep the bigger picture in mind and realize that you're not defined by your failures or mistakes. That your failures or mistakes are a part of you, but they're not all of you. And you'll also be able to realize that mistakes and failures are sometimes essential to growth and self-improvement. This way of thinking can help you improve your self-esteem over time. Now, number 3 is to adopt a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset. With a fixed mindset, we don't see ourselves possibly growing or improving. Instead, we're stuck in a state of helplessness, self-loathing, and misery. And what's worse is when the brain becomes familiar with this fixed mindset way of thinking, it becomes addicted to this way of thinking. And that's because the brain's default is to rely on doing what's familiar and not necessarily on doing what's best for us. But this doesn't mean that the brain can't change. Just because the brain doesn't like change doesn't mean that it's incapable of it. It just means that we have to make a conscious effort to implement those changes consistently until the brain adapts. So instead of automatically subscribing to your fixed mindset, be open to growing. A growth mindset opens you up to learning new things and trying things in a different way. And lastly, number 4 is to celebrate and acknowledge your successes and good qualities, no matter how small they may be. When you consciously make a point to notice your successes, you're training your brain to focus on the positives. When we're stuck in a negative mindset, we're more likely to overlook our accomplishments. Only our failures and mistakes stand out. And while it's important to address and evaluate our failures so that we can learn how to do better next time, it's equally important to express appreciation and gratitude towards ourselves. By being more intentional with ourselves in this way, it'll help enable us to notice our positive qualities more easily and naturally. And this can be done not just by saying good job to ourselves when we do something well, but also by engaging in daily positive affirmations that help make us feel uplifted and inspired. Healthy self-talk makes for a healthy brain, just as healthy foods make for a healthy body. Now, by practicing and implementing these 4 mindset shifts regularly, we can start to feel less defined or consumed by the negatives and instead allow ourselves to make more room for self-improvement. And just remember, practice makes progress. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your mindset certainly won't change overnight. But if you stay consistent and dedicated to adopting a constructive mindset, you will be on your way to much higher self-esteem. And if you like the content in this video and want to see more like it, then I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.